Good evening. We are live. It is Manic and Chill, December 17th, 2025. I am here with Shane. We're talking all things future roster prep. Every other podcast this week, Shane, that I've listened to thus far is either recapping the prior week or they're talking about the fantasy playoffs.
They are.
And there's time and place to talk about fantasy playoffs. If you want to talk more about playoff matchups, sit starts, get in our Discord. ddfantasyfootball.com, patreon.com/allgas, get you in the Discord. That's where you can ask those questions. Tons of sit-start questions, tons of should I make this trade for the last week or two questions. There's a lot of other good discussion heading into the offseason. But this episode, we're going to stray away a little bit from that topic, Shane, and we are going to talk about prepping your rosters for the offseason. And I'll just put this out there because a lot of leagues operate this way. Everything locks after the playoffs are over. No more waivers. Some leagues, and this is just blasphemy.
I don't understand.
There's no trading.
I don't understand what you're talking about right now.
If you play in a lot of leagues where I'm the commissioner or there is a progressive commissioner that will allow waivers every single week in the offseason, but a lot of people have leagues where everything just shuts down. There's no waiver run until after the rookie draft. So you're talking from January to May. There's no ability to hit that waiver wire. So it's all just trades, taxi promotions, IR promotions, etc. But before we get into that, Shane, good evening. How did your playoff weeks go, or how did your week 15s go? Do you have any results to report to the listeners?
Yeah. What did I go? I went over 500. I know that. It was either 7-5 or 8-6. I don't know, somewhere around that. I should actually know. But with
you were cursing somebody on Monday night. Was it Darren Waller that knocked you out of the league?
Darren Waller. I was beating Cody easy in our best ball league. No way he could beat me. I mean, it's fourth quarter. He's down, I don't know, 30 points maybe. And then Darren Waller lost his mind. And then Miami decided that they needed one more possession with no shot, and they were going to throw the ball to Darren Waller, and I lost on that fucking catch. In my best ball league, I would have really been excited to make the second round of playoffs in my best ball league, but knocked out in the first round by Darren Waller. I'm happy his wife left him. I never want to see him again.
This is what you get when you're in the Discord. You get in real time. It's not always, but you'll just get a true Shaneism, where he'll literally say stuff like, I am glad his wife divorced him because he caught a fourth quarter meaningless pass to knock Shane out of $100 league that
I don't care.
You've done a good job building that team up, but those are some of the bad beats that happened. I can't remember exactly the context, but I think there was a bad beat that I saw. I'm going to try to think of it during this episode. I saw one. And, you always see people post screenshots. They lost by 0.2 and it's because this happened or that happened. But this one was truly, I have to think about what it was, but this one was truly one where I'm like, wow, that is a brutal one. I have to think about what it was. I can't remember exactly offhand, but I've seen hundreds of those over the years. And this one stuck out to me as, man, that is a rough way to go if that's how you actually lost. But
you know what? Real quick though, I cannot. Oh, Shane beat someone on his last catch, Diaz. Diaz. Look, so in that same game, right? I was going up against Diaz. He had Jaylen Warren and Kenny Gainwell going. Both had very excellent games, right? I think I went into that game up. I think it was 40. I ended up winning by, I believe, a touchdown. Jaylen Warren and Kenny Gainwell got sniped by Cam Hayward, Jono Smith, and was it Cam Hayward again? Or someone. I don't remember who. So I can't be too mad at the fantasy gods. They helped me on that one.
Yeah, that was a weird game for the first three quarters where it was like everybody that was scoring was MVS, Jono Smith, Cam Hayward, and it was just like, is this really going to turn around and end up? And if you had Darren Waller, absolutely. You had Darren Waller, you absolutely smashed. Hopefully you had him in the lineup. I had him in tons of lineup leagues, Shane. Probably like 5 leagues I had Darren Waller in. And
you started him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It just, 2 PPR tight end or start 12. Like there was one where I put Darren Waller in over Jaylen Warren because I was a little worried that, Jaylen Warren would be limited, and it ended up being the right call, even though Jaylen Warren seemed fine. Didn't score a ton of points, but he seemed fine. But it was the right move, and it didn't end up mattering. But still, I had him quite a bit. So I think between Darren Waller, Kyle Pitts, you're going to get let down in week 16 if you put those guys back in and you just expect them to be league winners. But you're going to have a lot of people that have those players that are advancing. And what do you do after a big game like Darren Waller? So you put him right back in, right? Against the Bengals. He's going to have like 100% start rate, and then he'll have 5 points. Exactly. And that's just the life that you live. So any other thoughts, playoffs? I didn't want to make this too much about playoff results. I did pretty well. I think I have 24 teams still alive. Now we'll see how many of those still alive in the next week. I had a lot of teams that were like the 3rd seed that got through, or the 2nd seed that had a bye. But everything is. We talked last week about some of the things you like to do in leagues that make it a little more competitive, and this week is definitely the case. All the leagues where you can call out the managers still in the playoffs. If you were the 1 seed, you can call out how you want the bracket to look.
Yeah.
Which normally it wouldn't be a big deal, but this week it's been a big deal. I can go, who has Patrick Mahomes and Rashee Rice, and what team made it but got absolutely crushed by someone put on Twitter earlier that week 16 feels like typically a week 18, where there's already 5 or 6 teams mailing it in, and they're just flat out sitting players out. And I don't know.
It's there's a lot of injuries. There's some attrition. Patrick, we've got a bunch of guys with concussions. Rashee Rice, they waited until Wednesday to diagnose him with a concussion. Like, I don't understand how that happens. Unless he got in another car accident and just didn't tell anyone. There's T. Higgins, who did practice. We're still waiting for Drake London to come back. Devontae Adams is out. That's life. You know what I mean?
Higgins is like concussion proof. They tell that guy you're only allowed to be out like 1 game. Then you have to come back and play, even though there's nothing to play for.
Me and Hillbillies, big matchup in MD2. And I've been making trades literally all day. I've traded for Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb. Like, I'm just moving. I'm trying to make wins. Tyrone Tracy, trying to find those edges. This week is the most important week of the season, right? Because this is the week that you get to the championship game. If you get to the championship game, the worst that happens is that you finish in second and you finish in the money, right? Mostly
you can chop the pot. I have no problem chopping a pot. If it's a, $1,200 pot for first and second or something like that, I have no problem saying, "Here, I'll take 6, you take 6." I can still claim to be the winner or loser based on what happens, but I'll take the money. You know what I mean?
And just about every league I'm in, it plays at least first and second, right? And yeah, obviously you want to get to the championship. 3rd place games don't always pay out. 2, you're playing for 3rd place. It's less exciting. Let's say that. So
it's deflating. It'll be like, here, if you finish second, you get $400. If you finish 3rd, you get 50. There's a big benefit of making the finals and then kind of letting things shake out how they might shake out. So what other trades have you made? I have one that has been a deal, a template of a deal that I have made a couple times already. And there's teams still in the playoffs, but they're things that I'm still looking to do. Anything that sticks out other than just, I bought a player for the finals or I bought a player for the semis, like any other like kind of bigger picture moves you've made?
I mean, so, look, I bought players with the hope. I don't like buying just win now players. I did trade David Njoku for Tyrone Tracy, but whatever. David Njoku is replaceable, right? That's not someone that you can't find. I did trade out Pierce for Jacoby Myers. That's probably short-sighted, but I don't think that I'm going to look back in a year and a half and go, oh, I can't believe I don't have Alec Pierce on my team. I can't imagine that's going to be the case.
So one thing that I've been doing is, and it doesn't really matter if your team just got eliminated this past weekend or it is still alive, is going and trying to find trades that those picks are now defined based on the draft order and seeing if you can pivot those 26 picks into 27 picks. Easier said than done. The threshold of what that number is, I think we've talked about it previously. It's probably higher than you're comfortable with. The 110 this year is not touching a 27 first. I don't care if it's a late 27 first. It's just not going to get it done. But I think those teams that just got eliminated, you're sitting on the 107 or 108, right? Or if you have a team that's still in the playoffs, but it could be the 109 or it could be the 112. especially if you can still trade. So obviously, if you're making the trade today, we're talking about trades we're making in week 16, you can still trade. So I'm looking at this as, like, I'll give you an example. There is one that I made where I'm in the final four. I was actually the number 1 seed, but I held the pick of a team that had just missed the playoffs. So I think the pick's going to ultimately end up being the 105. Okay. So I also had some attrition with an injury or two that happened to my team while it was on bye. So now that that pick has been defined, I actually went and traded that next year's 105 in a deal where I also gave up, and actually I'm going to pull it up and find the exact trade. So I have a team that's still in the playoffs. It's a start 11, so I'm going to need a starter or two potentially for the next week or two. And so I'm like, I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. I can make a trade, but I can also acquire something that I do want to have going into the offseason. Right. So this kind of leads into, I'm not quite full roster prepping for next year, but I'm setting my team up exactly where I want it to be in the offseason. So here's the trade that I did, Shane. I gave up next year's 105, and this is a 0.2 point per carry league. Okay, start 11. I gave up next year's 105, 226 thirds, which I've said many times, I have too many thirds, so I'm okay giving up a couple, and Jordan Addison. All right, Jordan Addison, he's a young receiver. He's got some upside, right? We've only heard that for 2 years, and he's a good receiver, but not a player that I'm worried is going to burn me based on his current situation, his current role, all of that stuff. He's fine. He's solid. Hopefully he gets to a range where you're confident starting him again, but that's really the only upside of having him, right, is what you can do with him because of his name.
Yeah.
So the 105 next year, 2 thirds, and Jordan Addison, and I got back Zach Charbonnet in a point per carry. I probably would start him with the same confidence in a point per carry that I would Jordan Addison. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If I had to start one or the other, I don't really care between those 2 players. And then I got the 27 first of the same team that just finished the 105. It's like, that's the kind of trade where I had to kind of shine it up a little bit to make it seem like I'm overpaying, but I don't see the difference between Addison and Charbonnet. In fact, I'd rather have Charbonnet. I think if I know when to play him, if he gets another role somewhere, I like what he could do in a point per carry higher than what a receiver like Addison could do. But I also was able to mask that by giving up that 105 of 27 first. And my team's stacked now. Like, it's ready to go. And now I have 327 first. So I'm really supplementing that roster by, kind of putting it in a position, preparing for what I want the next year or so to look like. So I think that's the type of creative trade. Same if you just got knocked out. What are you doing with your 107 or 108? What does it take to pivot a 108 into a 27 first? You probably have to get creative. You know what I mean? Like, you got to figure, like, name a player that just got injured that you're not confident is going to play the rest of the year. Rashee Rice, is that a fair one?
No, because he'll play. Well, for fantasy purposes, sure. Rashee Rice. Or how about someone that isn't going to play? Definitely isn't going to play. Garrett Wilson.
Okay, so you give up the 108 and Garrett Wilson, and you get back a 27 first. And let's just assume it's a 27 first that you like the odds of it being non-playoff. Not top 2, not top 3, but like, you're not super. I typically look at teams and I go, it's not about the current players on the roster. We've seen how much things can change over a year's time, right? It's more of how active is this manager? How impressed am I with this manager that they are going to grind and maximize their team from being the 102, the 103? Are they smart enough, if they realize that their team is going downhill or taking on water and they don't have their first, are they potentially smart enough to try to buy it back? Or are they going to play defense and make sure that it's not a high pick? Like, those are the things that I'm evaluating. But what would be that line? So you give up the 108 and Garrett Wilson for a 27 first and JMO. Are you doing that?
Oh, absolutely. I'd smash that.
And that's one where you're fine with the gap between Garrett Wilson and JMO. But really, the prize is getting that 27 first for the 108, which you would not probably be able to do straight up, right?
I'm getting out of a late first, mid to late. And we love saying that.
Well,
really,
you know what it is. You know it's the 108. So you know it is truly mid to late. There is no sugarcoating it.
So exactly. There's no mystery to it, where there's an allure to the other pick because, well, 1, people like that class better, but 2, that pick could be anywhere. That team that you trade it for could just get absolutely skull banged by injuries. And that pick could end up being high. So yeah, I like that deal. And I like Garrett Wilson a lot. And, you know, I try to remind people he was a wide receiver one, high end wide receiver one with Justin Fields until injuries. It was a small sample size, but he was like wide receiver 7 or something like that. So he was balling, but I do feel like JMO's close enough with that pick that I'm okay with it.
So here was another one. I just got knocked out of the playoffs, and I currently hold the first of one of the teams that is in the playoffs right now. So the 2 seed had a bye, probably the favorite to make the finals based on their current matchup. So I gave up that pick, which is probably, you know, at worst it's the 109, but it's probably the 110. If they get knocked out, they're still going to be higher than the 109. So let's just call it the 110 through the 112 plus Derrick Henry plus Keenan Allen. So again, I got knocked out. Those are 2 players where I'm fine holding them if I can't get anything for them, but they're very much like they're volatile going into the offseason because I'm not even sure they're going to be useful, especially somebody like Keenan Allen. Derrick Henry will be useful until he's not.
Yeah.
But I gave up that 110 to 112 and Derrick Henry for a 27 first. And you know what? A team in the Final Four smashed it because they're like, I'm excited to play Derrick Henry in my lineup. It's a 14 by 12.
Okay.
So getting like a pick plus a starter, you know what I mean? Like they're taking that because they need players to put in their lineup. But that's the kind of trade that I'm doing if I get knocked out. It feels like, oh man, I don't want to use my assets that way. But I just don't think that market would be there with those specific players and that late first in 3 weeks. Yeah, like my time to strike is right now because there's somebody that's like, I send them Derrick Henry and they're still in the playoffs. They may not want to do the trade, but they're not embarrassed by the offer. You know what I mean? Like they're going to entertain it because they know why it's coming their way. But that's the type of trade I'm trying to do now if I got knocked out. If you're talking about moving like kind of significant assets, don't try to just sell. I mean, I'm sure you can do this. I don't know if you've tried, but like you can try to. And in fact, I got an alert last night. I think it was Shane and was it you and Chase? I think in that best ball league where you both put your entire team on the trade block and you just hit trade block, and I get like 15 alerts that every single player on those teams are available. Are you actually trying to send those offers out? Like, are you spamming out offers? Like, hey, I just got eliminated. I'm sending out, you know, Mike Evans for a second, like that kind of thing? Or are you just waiting for people to come to you?
No, I've sent out a couple offers. I just, you know, it's limited buyers right now. It's what, 4? I believe 4 buyers left. So it's a very limited market. And I refuse to trade with Cody because he just beat me. So I hope he loses. I'm not going to help him in any way. I kid. I'm going to look at Cody and see if he wants any crusties from me because I do have some crusties. I think I'm over the loss now. I think I can move on and see if I can make some money out of this. But yeah, no, you shouldn't, especially with only 4 teams left. You have to be aggressive, right? You can't be passive with just 4 teams left. Some leagues might have more because they have like an all play or best. I don't know, whatever. Some teams could have more. But you have to be aggressive. You have a very limited number of people that are going to buy from you as a seller. So
let's hit a few comments. I'm going to prepare for our little exercise tonight where we're going to go through some of our own teams. We'll pull them up on Dynasty Daddy and we'll kind of work through. These are eliminated teams. So I'm going to need you to get some eliminated teams of yours, Shane, that we need to kind of comb through the roster. And, you know, if this is a PSA, if you're a commissioner, consider making it so there is waiver runs in the offseason. Consider, you know, making first come, first serve waivers available in the season where like you can pick up players on Friday or Saturday. I mean, you don't have to do that, but maybe a compromise to do something like that next year would be allow first come, first serve waivers on Sundays. I mean, you have some leagues, Shane, where you go try to pick somebody up on a Sunday and it's like there's waivers. Even on Sunday morning.
Yeah, I've usually done. I'm not one of those. Let me go pick up a bunch of people and drop a bunch of people on Sundays. Generally, I've done all my roster work prior to that, so I'm not touching anything Sunday. My rosters are in as long as someone's not injured. I'm not doing anything.
Okay. Yeah, just something to think about. Like it makes a little more spice to the activity in the offseason when there's weekly waivers. You know, especially during free agency. During the combine, you know, there's just more activity when you have less constraint during the offseason. But let's take a couple questions while I get this prepped for some screen sharing. What do you got?
I like this one because it kind of, leads into the conversation that we're already having. Thoughts on me picking up Zach Wilson and Trey Lance off my waiver for free? Season is done for me. I'm looking ahead to the offseason, and in the era of QB rebirths, why the hell not? First of all, Trey Lance, neither of these guys should probably be on waivers. I don't know your league particulars. I'm immediately picking both of those dudes up, like right now. Like literally while I'm watching this, I would pick those dudes up. Trey Lance is a free agent, I believe, or it doesn't really matter because he's not going to get a starting gig wherever he goes, but he could have an opportunity for spot starts. Zach Wilson, he got passed over by Quinn Ewers, which is not great, but if Quinn Ewers does what Quinn Ewers does, Zach Wilson's probably going to get a start before the season's out. So, yeah, I'd be picking both of those guys up.
Yeah, I mean, these two, and I did the podcast a couple weeks ago where I talked about the every quarterback step chart. Go back and listen to that because I think most of that still plays now. These two are among the very tightly held backups that I have, simply for the reason that two things, Shane. They're free agents, right? So they're going to be able to go somewhere. Malik Willis, you can throw him in that mix, but he's right. This is the era of quarterback reclamation projects. And, you know, we have another team now with the Dolphins and I don't think Zach Wilson got passed up to be the starter. I think it makes sense for the Dolphins as the organization and Mike McDaniel, who wants to coach the Dolphins next year, to start Quinn Ewers because Zach Wilson is going to leave. Zach Wilson I don't look at it as he got passed up. I look at it as the organization wanted to see what they have in Quinn Ewers.
Oh, yeah.
Like Zach Wilson's audition is for another team. If he goes out there and looks good, like another team's going, can we bring this guy in to maybe compete with our starter who we don't really love? So I think that's not an indictment on him. He really hasn't gotten a second chance since he left the Jets. And someone pointed it out today, like it was actually a Zach Wilson versus Quinn Ewers thread. And there was arguing going on, like who should get the start, you know, and someone just chimed in and it's like, dude, Phillip Rivers is starting. Brady Cook is starting. You know what I mean? Like if you're watching this, we're over now 55 quarterbacks that have started a game this year, different ones after this upcoming week when we have a couple new starters that jump in. If you're Zach Wilson, I'm not worried that I'm not going to get a starting job. What I am worried is, do I get my next job and is there a potential that I can get in there and show something? And for Dynasty, that's all you need. If I told you Zach Wilson, we get 4 starts over the next 2 years, Shane, that is absolutely worth rostering on as many rosters as you can get him. You have to be prepared to have him when that happens and not wait for it to happen to react.
So the end of last season, and I'm always going to remember this, it was such a good drive, but I think it was a Friday drive because I was happy. So that generally means it's Friday, not Monday. Mondays are.
And not following the Eagles Thursday night game, right? The Eagles don't lose a lot. So most of the time Shane is happy, but the days where there's like an Eagles Thursday like that, I remember the Thursday night loss this year to the Giants. That was Shane did not want to be there for that.
but there was a purpose to that. I was saying, get every Mac Jones you can, get every Daniel Jones you can. And I literally sent out Rome Wilson, Austin. It doesn't even matter. Just back end wide receivers on my roster that were young.
Austin. It doesn't even matter.
it doesn't even Calvin Austin. That's a dude's name.
Okay. just
some random Austin
last name.
But I was just sending out random back of the bench wide receivers that will never do anything, right? That you don't have any hope for the quarterback, because I'd much rather have that, to be quite honest with you. I'd rather have that shot. And it turned out well. It would have turned out well for you this year if there you go. Here you go. I just traded Kamani Vidal for Juwan Jennings because Rashee Rice might be out and I need a wide receiver. Can't start Kamani. My running backs are too good. Kevin Austin. Sure, it was Kevin Austin. It was Brian Austin Green.
Kevin, Stone Cold. It doesn't matter.
Brian Austin Green from 90210. Either way, I'd advocate go through your wide receivers and go try to get wide or quarterbacks like that, backup quarterbacks that have started and failed.
Yeah.
Austin.
To answer the question, Dr. B. Harris, what's up, Dr. B. Harris? I'm not really trading any backup quarterback that I project to have a shot to be a backup next year for a third. Now, there's certain circumstances where you will. I'm doing the roster construction series over the next month where I'm literally going to talk about this, like how to evaluate your league based on whatever roster rules there are. Like it's different in a 22-man roster league and a 32-man roster league. Shane, I only have 10 less roster spots to play with, right? So there's probably backups on waivers then if I could trade a quarterback for a third, I can literally go pick up another Quinn Ewers off waivers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that, in that case, sure, I would do it. If it's some of the, 35-man rosters in the offseason, like I'll make this blanket statement. Every backup quarterback in the NFL is worth at least a third to me. I'm not cutting them. I'm probably willing to hold almost all of them, and that includes even some third QBs, even guys that I project that could be a backup next year. You know, could be a backup next year that people would cut. Stetson Bennett. He could be the Rams' backup quarterback. Who knows? But even a guy like that, I'm going to value higher than wide receiver 90, then running back 95, then tight end 42. You know what I mean? Like going into the offseason, I don't want to just give up backups because they're not starting, because the evaluation on Quinn Ewers is never, is he going to be a starter? It is, will he ever be useful in a short period of time? And the cheapest way to get access to those guys is to already have them, not have to go pay when you go try to buy Quinn Ewers right now. You probably couldn't even buy him for a third in some leagues. And I don't want to pay more for a guy like that. No,
I'm not paying more than that. But to Jay, so like specific to JPT's league, I pick both of them up and then trade one of them, because apparently they have backup quarterbacks on the waiver wire there that you could do that. So yeah, pick up Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, see if you can move him for a third, and then pick up another quarterback.
What else?
Comments? You're still looking up? I'll bring.
No, I'm ready to go, but put in a couple comments. I want to get some of the people's questions.
Let's say nice stuff. Season greetings, fellas. Thank you for the content this year. Thank you, and happy Hanukkah to everyone, anyone in the tribe. And then we will be back before Christmas, so I won't say happy Christmas right now.
Yes.
Big Diaz energy. All right, here's something leading in next year. What do I do with all these backup QBs? He got every one of them. He hoarded them, and then all year no one would buy them because everyone else also had old, crusty quarterbacks that got starts.
Well, I mean, I do want to kind of turn this into real time, like showing this, but go back and listen to the show. Did you happen to catch the Destination Dynasty from this week, Shane, where I went through the trades for quarterbacks versus other positions? I mean, I'm still thinking through what the application of that is, but here was the data for those that missed it. I went back and I just pulled a very specific format. So you could do the same, but there's so many trades that if you just put in broad, parameters, super flex, whatever, like you're going to get 27,000 trades and it's impossible to analyze them all. But I went through and just picked a specific format, 12 by 11, 1.75 premium. Didn't adjust for anything else. Okay. And then I just filtered by literally 1-for-1 trades, not 4-for-1s, not 3-for-1s, not 2-for-3s, literally 1-for-1 trades. And from the start of the 25 season to present, how many trades were there that were in that format? So 12 by 11, 1.75 that were 1-for-1. And I think there ended up being like 700 and some trades that fit that exact criteria. And then I broke down, what did they look like? What types of players were they for? And one of the themes was almost half those trades, Shane, were for quarterbacks. Yeah. So if I tell you that data and I don't tell you anything else, what does that tell you about how people are approaching that secondary quarterback market? And there's not a right or wrong answer. I think I could spin this two different ways. But when I tell you that in the typical type of league we play, maybe a 12 by 11, 30-man rosters where most of the backups are already rostered, if I tell you half the trades involving straight up players for thirds or quarterbacks, what does that tell you about how people are playing that quarterback market? What does that tell you kind of about their behavior of managers in that type of league? Any takeaways?
I mean, so they're buying. They're buying these for seconds and thirds, right?
Well, yeah, it speaks to there's probably something going on in that area that is driving behavior that is not the same with other positions, right? The other 50%, the other half of the trades were basically evenly split between running backs, receivers, and tight ends. So there wasn't really a trend to where, and it's probably because in those formats, like all the other three positions matter about the same, but there really wasn't like a split between those other three that made it more likely to want to go buy a running back for a third or a receiver for a third. Like they were pretty much equal, but it was dominated by quarterbacks. And Mike says the conclusion is more people are desperate to get a deal done when they need a QB and they're not easier to acquire than other position. I mean, that makes sense, right? Like you're probably in a flex. You can put anything in there, right? Mm-hmm. And you probably have something that you can play on your roster. If you have 30-man rosters, you may not love your running back options or your receiver options or your tight end options, but you have somebody. Whereas I'm guessing a lot of the quarterback deals were driven by, Shane, I don't have a second quarterback. I might have 7 backups, but none of them are playing.
None of them are starting.
So I have to go play in those waters to get a quarterback for that week. You could also say, what does that tell you about if you're a seller that is already hoarding all those backups? Let's say you have 10 dynasty rosters and all of them have 10 backup quarterbacks. What does that tell you as somebody that goes into 2026 constructing your rosters that way? What does that tell you from a selling perspective that you might be able to expect?
Let me go back. I like Mike's point, right? That people feel pressed to buy it, right? I mean, you'll be able to sell. You'll be able to sell these assets because people do get too pressed in Superflex leagues, not 2QB because it's a different thing. But in Superflex leagues, it's almost like people think they have to put a quarterback into that second position, no matter how dog shit that quarterback is.
And to be fair, you should. If you're just
some cases
a starting unless you can project that their range of outcomes is going to be like at the bottom 20% of like backup quarterback performances, I'm still putting in Kenny Pickett last week over a non-quarterback, assuming that the non-quarterback is not. I mean, people will go, oh man, I don't really want to start Kenny Pickett because I'm putting, Breece Hall in my super flex. It's like, well, if Breece Hall is on your bench, then your roster is probably a little different than the average. But if you're just talking about, all right, Shane, I'm deciding between Darnell Mooney and Ricky Pearsall and Mason Rudolph, who's starting this week. Like more often than not, you want to pick the quarterback. The data doesn't lie. Right. But sure, in hindsight, I shouldn't have started Kenny Pickett. He got 3 points. Well, of course, but you get what I mean.
I mean, there's some quarterbacks that are just so bad that you shouldn't do it, right? Like if Brett Rippin got another start.
Yeah.
No.
He'd be one of the ones you could project in the bottom 20%. Max Brosmer against the Seahawks, right?
Right. There's
Phillip
a couple
Rivers
guys
against the Seahawks. Like that. That's one of the ones where if you would have told me, hey, this is the guy's first game in 5 years, he's going into one of the most hostile environments against a top 5 defense, I could live with not starting him. Right. But that has to be an analysis that's player specific. That is not, you don't have to start a quarterback in the Superflex. I've run thousands of leagues. It is optimal to start a quarterback in the Superflex, even with like 4-2 scoring, just from a probability of having a median number of points that week. It is higher with the quarterback than hoping that Darius Slayton this week gets 15 points. That type of decision.
No, you should never be sticking Darius Slayton in there. But there's, here you go. Sanford had Pickett or Tony Pollard. Okay. Tony Pollard was coming off a 30-point game. I don't even know what it was. His best game of the season. And then he went out there and had a best game of the season. And Sanford, as an Eagles fan, I'm disgusted that you would even think to start Pickett. That's your fault. Mike Conron, QBs are like cars, running backs and wide receivers are like shirts. I need a car to get to work, and I have a bunch of shirts, even if the one you are offering is a higher quality.
Yeah. There's a lot of little analogies you can make with different positions, but I just wanted to put that out there to challenge people to think about, and you can pull your own data. I mean, literally Dynasty Daddy is a great tool where you can go in, run this experiment with, whatever format or parameters you want to, and then go through. I mean, you can use ChatGPT to analyze the breakdown of it all. I mean, you can literally draw some conclusions, and it's not creating anything. You're literally just having it analyze the data, and then you use, what you know about your league or your portfolio of leagues to just think about, what does this maybe mean for the future? It maybe doesn't give you the answer you're looking for, but at least makes you think bigger picture about some of the stuff that becomes really abstract from like a roster construction or strategy standpoint.
Right.
So anything else before we get to, I do want to share my screen and pull up.
No, let's go.
Leagues.
Let's kick into it. Let's get into it. We only got 26 minutes left. We've been
flip the, if you could flip the overlay for me and just go to our
this goes well.
As of course we are very prepared for this.
Sure. Media assets. What am I doing here? Overlay.
You're just flipping the you just flip into no. Manic and chill share. You know where it is, right here.
No, that one. I got
it. Yeah, and change that background so it doesn't look This is how the sauce is made behind the scenes. There we go. We'll do the leaves background. There we go. Okay. So I am going to actually get off of this screen and share. I think I have Dynasty Danny up. So I'm going to find, and we're going to get a little nuanced. I didn't pre-pick the leagues I want to go through. So some of these I've kind of already worked through and some I haven't, but I'm going to go and just try to find one that I can actually make some moves in. So let me see. Got knocked out. All right, I can do this one because I think we're both in this league. This will actually be one that we could do together. It's the one we did, the Variance Bowl. That one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The one we did the dispersal live.
Yeah.
Both of our teams were awful. I think I finished the 101 and Shane finished the 102. So
102,
it
baby.
played out exactly how we thought, right? The dispersal pool wasn't great, and there we go.
I got some good future assets, but yes.
Okay. So go down, and this is a lot of what like a roster review looks like. Some of the stuff, especially if you get a roster review now or coming up. And we actually have a new website that's debuting very, very soon. So there'll be kind of some enhancements on there, but also the roster reviews will have a little more of a robust description of what you get and stuff like that. But this is typically what we do in a roster review, especially if you're getting one this time of year. You're not focused on necessarily like trading to make the playoffs. Like most people's trade deadlines realistically are over. Or if you're getting a roster review next week, it's probably not how do I win the championship? You know what I mean? It's like, what should I do in the offseason? So this is a 12 by 11. This is a lineup league. It is a start quarterback, 2 running back, 3 receivers, a tight end, 3 flexes, a super flex, and 15 bench, Shane. Now, I think, I don't know if there's a taxi in Variance Bowl. I got to check.
There's an IR. I know that. I don't know if there's a taxi.
There is a 3-person taxi. Yep. So effectively, it's 12 by 11, 29-man rosters. We don't have to go through the nuanced scoring. That'll be another thing that'll be coming to the site, because there'll be a real quick way to be able to kind of analyze the scoring leverage at each position. But it is a 5-2. So that's the old DTI 5. 5 point per passing touchdown. So 5-2. There is bonuses for 300 and 400 yard games, 100 and 200 yard games.
So Kirk Cousins, who went over 400 yards this year?
I mean,
there was someone.
There's been a few, but yeah. I don't think that doesn't really change the analysis of it. I'm just trying to see if there's any other scoring. I don't see any other scoring bonuses or anything.
No, there's nothing wild
that would make me say, okay, it's definitely a running back dominant or a tight end dominant scoring. Is there even a tight end? I think there's a tight end premium.
Bryce Young went over 400 yards.
Yeah, 1.5 premium. So it's pretty vanilla.
Brissett. Okay, thanks, guys.
So pretty vanilla, 12 by 11. 29-man rosters. The taxi is obviously 3 rookies, but as long as you have 3 rookie picks, you're going to have 3 rookies. But there's really no, I think, positional leverage from like a scoring standpoint. There's no increase for running backs or increase for tight ends. So let's pull up my roster and just kind of look at what this process would look like for me. So I do have the 101. I have a couple extra seconds, a couple extra thirds. Already have an extra 27 third, nice. 27 second. But here's my roster. You remember this startup, Shane. These teams were stripped down to or not startup, dispersal. Shane and I literally did the dispersal live on the show, and we did 20 rounds or something but it was dead after like round 7.
It wasn't good.
So let's just start going by position. So let's go tight end wise. Like I'm looking at, do I have my future tight end on this roster, Shane? Gunnar Helm, Terrence Ferguson, Cage Stover, or Mitchell Evans? No. In practicality, I don't.
No.
Now, it is a format where I don't mind having a non-elite tight end. You know what I mean? Like, it's not my priority to go fix tight end. Because my team was so bad, I kind of just threw 4 shots in the wind, and
you hit on Helm.
Won't hold more than 2 of these guys, but I'm fine rostering the 4. But I would say that's a little inefficient, right?
Yeah, and you know you have Helm and you have Terrence Ferguson. You're more than fine at the tight end position. You hit there.
Yeah, and I actually really like Mitchell Evans and Cade Stover. So like, there's a reason I have those 4. There's a little player take there, but I'm probably a little over leveraged at tight end, meaning like I'm probably only wanting to roll with 2 in this format, and that's just simply because they don't matter all that much, and I'm kind of starting from scratch. So I'm a little overextended here at tight end. I mean, this is not a great team, so I think it's a good one to actually talk through some of these principles. So let's go to quarterback here. Here's my quarterback room. I'm only rostering 8 quarterbacks. Now, you'll notice, look what's available. Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, Max Brosmer. This is a league where there have been backup quarterbacks that have been dropped. The league doesn't really value them that much. This is a league where I rostered a ton of backups this season, really never was able to trade them, and that's okay. But I'm comfortable being able to say going forward, I can kind of play any quarterback on a 2 deep strategy and do it without worrying that all the quarterbacks are going to be snatched up. But here's my 8. And I think all of these are valuable for next year. But do I have my quarterback room, assuming the 101 I don't trade? Do I have my future quarterback room locked up here? Can I get by with this strategy over the next, let's say, 2 years?
Yes.
Okay. Jackson Dart, if he's good, like I can roll with Jackson Dart. Kyler Murray will get another shot. I have wild cards with Shador, Jacoby Brissett. Anthony Richardson could get another chance. And then obviously I have backups that I have access to. So I'm probably looking at somewhere between 8 to 10 backups or 8 to 10 quarterbacks total. And I'm already kind of close to that number with 8. So what I would do is I would probably find some inefficiencies potentially and wait for a backup quarterback or 2 to come available and then maybe add to that. So, this hasn't been updated. O'Connell, Max Brosmer, I could pick up if I wanted, but there will be other backup quarterbacks. So I'm probably thinking about adding 1 or 2, but I'm not ready to drop the tight ends yet because I still want to see how those 4 shake out just because I don't really have a tight end plan as to right now.
You got Gunnar Helm, man. I like Helm. I like Helm a lot. Good target shares.
I like the tight end room. So let's go to the other 2 positions. I think this is where people struggle a little bit. So I've accounted for 12 of my roster spots, Shane. And just right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rookie picks. And I don't know if this league expands. I can't remember. I don't believe it did because I know I had some tough roster cut downs to do in this league after last year's rookie draft. So that kind of pushes my numbers a little bit up against the wall because I'm going to have 7 rookie picks, which means I pretty much have to clear 7 roster spots to make those rookie picks. And I'm pretty much maxed out right now. So where do you think I would be looking to kind of fix this team right now? Just given I value every player on this roster, but for slightly different reasons and understanding this was a team was at the very bottom. What do you think?
I mean, I would assume you would attack the running backs just because there's so many of them. Your wide receivers are pretty thin. I mean, sure, Kyle Williams and Cedric Tillman aren't necessary, but it's the running back rooms and running backs room is going to give you harder decisions to attack, to be honest with you.
Well, and this is where it's a little harder to do when it's not a point per carry or a high tight end premium, because let's say this was a 0.15 point per carry and 1.75 tight end premium. You know what matters way less than receivers. I don't need as many. I'm probably more willing to stick a different position in the flex, which means I don't need to carry 7 receivers, especially with a receiver core of Lamb, Neighbors, Jamison Williams, and Travis Hunter. That's a pretty good core. I'm comfortable with that.
There's a good chance that those gentlemen will be starting most of the weeks for you.
Right. And because it is not a format where I'm wanting to throw in tight ends or running backs in the flexes, I'm probably willing to put the number at about 5 to 7 receivers. But the question is, I don't have a high rookie pick that I'm probably going to use on a receiver. So unless I trade back from the 101, which I think you would agree this is appropriate roster that you would trade back at the 101, right?
Yeah, as much as I'd like to draft Love, I think just take a lesson from the Raiders and Ashton Genty. Every roster is not ready for a running back. Every roster is not ready for a tight end. Those should be finishing pieces, unless you can get a bunch of them at one time. But yeah, no, I would suggest splitting this asset as best you can.
Well, the good news is Shane has the 102, so maybe I can trade back and pick up something when we get there. But that's
probably not. But you know,
and your roster's maybe slightly better than mine, but it's kind of in the same. Like we both need pieces, so this is probably not a place where we're trading up.
We could check it out after this.
Anything of value, but I'm more comfortable in this format to attack trying to get probably one more, I don't want to say elite receiver, but one more receiver that I'm like, let's say is in like the JMO range, somewhere between JMO and maybe right below Malik Neighbors. But I think where I'm really, if I'm talking about like macro bets that I'm going to do with a lot of my teams, and this is a perfect example, Shane, I'm kind of more interested than ever in not necessarily having to go attack those receivers that are in the JMO range, because you have to pay for those guys. And if this was a point per carry or a heavier tight end premium, I absolutely would be fine with this receiver core. And I'd be banking that. Let's go check out waivers here real quick, because I think Cedric Tillman is one of those that is on the chopping block. But let's look at the receivers in this league. There's not a lot right now, but just the number of receivers this year that have popped up and had usability over a couple week period. You just have to know when you want to potentially put them in. That's it. But I'm comfortable taking a team like this that already has a foundation at receiver and kind of cycling those last 2, 3, 4 receiver spots, maybe even more, and just living with throwing one of those guys in every week, whether it's Pat Bryant, Kyle Williams, Cedric Tillman, or whoever the new name is that will cycle through between now and week 15 next year. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to get another locked-in receiver. Now, it's a numbers game. If I'm going to play that strategy at receiver, you know what I probably can't do? Roster 10 backup quarterbacks. And, roster every team that keeps DJ Giddens, Jarquez Hunter, Taj Brooks. Like, I want to hold those guys, but I only have 29 roster spots, Shane. I can't have 10 quarterbacks, 12 running backs.
No, I mean, there's a finite number of roster spots, like, yes.
Right. So you got to make some numbers decisions. So what I'd probably do is I would probably cut Cedric Tillman and maybe pick up a backup quarterback with there. But I think my focus on this team would be, I probably got to let some of these running backs go. Like just Jaleel McLaughlin. Talk about him. That's a guy that's on, he's going to be on a 53, right? He probably will be on the Broncos 53 next year. But is that the type of running back you would hold into the offseason, Shane? Because even though he's got a role now, he hasn't done anything.
I mean, no. Right. But no, I'm not holding on him. I mean, so I'd hold on to Tyler Bidet before I hold on to him.
Okay. So that means I'm probably cutting him because I think Tyler Bidet is.
He's on the waivers. Yeah, he's on waivers.
What about these rookies? ETN, Jarquez Hunter, DJ Giddens, Taj Brooks. Like we've seen hardly anything from any of them.
And they're all. Where was Jarquez Hunter drafted? What round was it?
4th.
Was fourth. I'd hold on.
Giddens, I think Brooks, 5th, and Brooks was a 6th.
Yeah, Brooks and Giddens can go.
Okay.
I'll hold on the Jarquez.
But here's the thing: is there a big difference between those 4?
No, because last year I actually looked at the difference between running backs productions based on the rounds they were drafted, and there was literally no difference after the 3rd round. Like just a 4th round running back wasn't actually any better than a 7th. So that's probably not even that smart based off the data. But based off of narrative, other people think that those running backs have a better chance, right? So let's just say Jarquez Hunter, somehow Blake Corum and Kyron Williams go down for a week and Jarquez goes out there and produces. People will be more willing to buy him than they would if it was probably, Taj Brooks.
So probably guys that I could cut, Samaje Perine, Jaleel McLaughlin are 2 guys that have kind of just, they exist, but I'm okay letting them go and taking my chances, right? And then Marshawn Lloyd. I know there's a question in the chat about Marshawn Lloyd. Are you considering him an RB on a 53, even though he's never physically been able to get on the 53 for like a game day?
Yeah.
He's played one game.
I thought he was injured. Wasn't he injured?
Again, yes.
Yeah. So
this is his this week will be his 32nd potential game in the NFL. He's been injured for 30 of the 31.
I mean, at least he's fresh. You know that. The one good thing about him is he doesn't usually take up a roster spot. He just takes up an IR spot.
Well, he was activated from IR, but then immediately got re-injured, but is not going to go back on IR.
Okay. I'm cutting him then. See you, buddy. He can go. Look.
He's in the candidate pool to cut before I would cut the rookies from this year. You agree with that?
Yes, and most leagues don't let you do IR in the offseason, right? Or
Correct.
no, players aren't on the IR.
I'm
excuse
taking
me.
his. I have 29. I can't hide guys on IR. Like
Right.
I have to. I'm working with 29. If I get some extra time to add a spot or two, then fine. But
Exactly.
so Lloyd can go, Pierce can go, P. Ryan can go, and Jaleel McLaughlin can go. I mentioned Pierce. That was a conversation we had in the Discord that the Chiefs picked him up. Any shot that he has a future role with the Chiefs, Shane, or are you willing to let him walk?
No, absolutely not. If the Chiefs don't get a real running back, we riot at this point, and we absolutely riot.
Given what I said about my receiver build, Cedric Tillman, can he go?
I
kind of feel like he could be a guy that pops back on the radar at some point.
I like Cedric Tillman a lot. I don't feel the need to hold him, but he would be one of the later ones. He'd be one of my last cuts. He'd be one of my last cuts. Like I would hold on to him as long as I possibly could because I do like him, even though he's buried right now.
So if I'm going to hold Tillman, I have 4 roster spots to work with. And I like this idea from Mike as well. Knowing that I only really have 4 roster spots that I want to move off of. And I know I wish we could move where we have the comment, but he basically says, try to use those rookie running backs, Giddens, Brooks, ETN, Jarquez Hunter. And I have 3rds and 4ths. Is there a way I can maybe trade? Can I trade DJ Giddens and a 4th, Shane, to get James Conner?
Maybe it's worth
like,
a shot.
That's that kind of, I'm not trading for a good running back. I'm trading for a running back that I think has a higher likelihood if he plays to give me something meaningful or to give me something that I can move.
Yes.
Because right now the only path with DJ Giddens is he plays. And if he was starting tomorrow and getting a spot start, people would be excited about it. You know what I mean? They would be like, oh, he's worth a 3rd. So they become more of, if I'm flipping to the offseason, sure, I want to hold any RB on a 53. But I think with the running backs, one of the takeaways with that quarterback data that I talked about and with the idea that you can, especially with the Trinity tool now, I can much more comfortably have an idea when I would want to play a guy like Pat Bryant or Cedric Tillman. Like based on their usage, based on their offensive environment, I have a better shot at being able to carry some of those old school roster clogger receivers and know when I can get some production out of them, even if it's only sporadic. Like you may only have a 2 or 3 week window where somebody like Pat Bryant is getting used. But if you see that happening based on his usage, you do want to have an ability to put him in. Because when those receivers do spike, Shane, they typically are higher than your backup running back that's only getting 10 touches. You know what I mean? Like when Pat Bryant has a good game, it's 23 points because he's a receiver that had some good usage that had a spike week. And you do want to capture those, given that there might be only 2, 3, 4 of those per year from those receivers. So the numbers have to come from the running backs. I cannot just hold 15 running backs. At some point, I'm going to run into a roster crunch. So I like that idea of trying to go after some of those kind of depressed running backs that people aren't sure of. Dobbins, James Conner, Joe Mixon, or guys that just people have soured on, Ramondre Stevenson, those types. And see if I can tier up. And the tier up is I alleviate 2 problems. A, I don't have enough roster spots. And B, I have round 3 and round 4 picks with guess what I'm going to be picking, Shane? More Kyle Williams and Taj Brooks. You know what I mean? I'm just hoping and praying that I hit the 2%er out of that group, but most likely they're just roster cloggers. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing we have to remember too, like these running backs get cycled out the very next year. There's going to be 14 other rookie running backs that, they aren't good enough to be, drafted in the first 3 rounds, but there's going to be a ton of them drafted in the 4th through 7th round. And we're going to tell ourselves a story as to why they can hit. And then, it'll happen in 2028. Same thing. And it's 2027. It just keeps happening.
Well, we're going to make some waiver bids. I'm not going to show those on stream, but this is just, we don't have time to go through another team. This was obviously poorly planned by me thinking I could do 3 of these teams. And of course not, probably only have time to do 1, but
put my roster up. I just want to see what it looks like.
All right, let's hit one of Shane's real quick. See if we can,
no, put this one up. Do this roster.
Oh,
this
okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to see it.
I forgot.
Orange 24. Not good. Not good. Joe Burrow traded, Jaden Daniels for Joe Burrow and something. I forget what.
Actually, you saw my Joe Burrow offer that I sent you a couple weeks ago. Did you see that? That's one of the few times Shane has ignored it. I sent Shane the 101 for Joe Burrow, and he didn't want to do it.
When I'm pondering a deal and I'm not sure what to do, I do ignore it because I'm just like, maybe if I don't look at it, it won't exist and I don't have to think about it. Yeah, look, my running backs. I've definitely got Xavier Scott can go. I'm never letting go of Giuseppe, that's for sure.
Will Shipley, can he go?
It's about time to let him go. Yes.
Giuseppe? I think
never
Giuseppe's good.
I'm never letting Giuseppe go. If Giuseppe ever gets a real run, he's going to be good.
How about Zonovan Knight? Can he go now that he's on IR?
Yeah, Bam can go. Bam.
So Shane, it's funny. You actually have a similar team to me.
Yeah.
You do have an extra 26 first.
Yeah.
I would say on paper you have a better tight end room, but I don't know if you feel great about your tight end room, but it'll play.
Nah.
And so
I literally spent all year trying to trade Andrews and Njoku. Literally all year.
So you probably have, honestly, your quarterback room is similar to mine. Like you're probably keeping all those guys. Drew Lock, Tanner McKee, Zach Wilson, like maybe Tyler Huntley, because that's a guy, like, I'm not sure if he actually is a backup until the Ravens re-sign him again for another year. But your quarterback room kind of looks like mine. Like you have a good starter with Burrow. I had Dart. You have a Kyler versus Cam Ward. Okay. I'm hopeful. And then you have a couple intriguing third and fourth options with Mac Jones and Mariota. So I think our quarterback rooms are very similar. You have better running backs than me, obviously, with Genty and Hampton, but you have weaker receivers. So I think our rosters are kind of in similar places.
Yeah.
You just have to figure out what those cuts are. Like, what are the things on your roster that you're not worried can go? Like Rashad Bateman, are you fine getting rid of him?
Yeah, Malik Washington, Rashad Bateman. We already talked about Will Shipley, Xavier Scott. Will Shipley, Xavier Scott. Bam
Knight.
Bam can go. Probably, it's sad.
Tyler Higbee can probably go.
In about 8 months, probably Caleb Johnson. Tyler Higbee can go. I'm not touching those. I'm not getting rid of any of those quarterbacks. None of them are getting cut.
Yeah. Well, and you have an extra first, but you don't have as many of those seconds, thirds, and fourths.
Yeah.
So, we're actually probably good trade partners because I have a numbers crunch and you probably have some spots that you can occupy. So, and I'd rather be in your spot most likely because you could basically pick the waiver wire whenever something becomes available. Gardner Minshew's hitting waivers tomorrow morning, Shane. How much you putting on him?
I'm going to put $1,000 on him. Real quick, I am the kiss of death in this league. Someone traded me Joe Burrow and something for Jaden Daniels, and then Jaden Daniels immediately got injured. Then there was an Omarion Hampton where I traded for Omarion Hampton. Part of the deal that I gave up was Cam Scatterbo, and then Cam Scatterbo immediately broke his ankle. So I don't think people want to trade with me anymore in there.
Yeah, this is an example of the exercise that I'm going to go through, and you don't have to do every team in a night. It's probably very mind-numbing to do more than a couple teams at a time.
Yeah.
But really, even think about the last roster spots. Understand these numbers. And we can, we can get back to our normal overlay. Here, get us back to baseline, Shane, if you could.
That usually goes well.
I got it. Shane, get us back to baseline.
Sure, buddy. I'm on it.
But no, I think this is important. Use Dynasty Daddy. Use these next 2 weeks. I implore everybody to do it before your waivers close. Do it when there's still first come, first serve waivers. Do it when waivers are still running every single day. Do it when some teams maybe even care more about what's going on with their matchups than they do their last couple roster spots. But understand these numbers. Understand how many roster spots you have. Understand the rules, or understand the scoring leverages at each position, and start forward thinking some of these moves. Do I really want to hold Will Shipley over a backup quarterback? Like, you may say that will never matter until it does. So this is true, like, degenerate future roster prep. It's making sure you look at each. There's some basics also that we don't even need to talk about, Shane, but like, make sure you fill all your roster spots, right? Don't have two that are unfilled going into the offseason. Even if you have to cut down later. Like, why would you not have roster spots filled if you have them available going into the offseason? So just understand your league better and grind these margins as much as you can. And you never know when it'll pay off. So anything else you got? Any other comments you want to share? We got like
a minute. Yeah, just hopefully everyone has a good week in the playoffs. Unless you're playing me, as the usual, I usually say I hope you suck if you're playing me, but if you're not playing me, good for you. Good luck.
Alex said probably missed the next live stream, so we will not do a live show next week because it is Christmas Eve. We will be doing a recorded show like we did for Thanksgiving. We'll probably put that out, sometime around the normal time, but we probably won't put it on Christmas Eve. We'll probably make it a little bit earlier than that. But we will do a recorded show. We'll talk through, maybe do something like this, but we'll maybe talk through some more abstract stuff to prep for the off season. But this will be the last live show of this year. Probably no plans necessarily for what we're going to do, New Year's Eve, but it'll be the same type of thing where it's, a tough time to do a live stream on these Wednesday nights where the holidays are falling this year. So that is it. Tap into the community if you're not already in there. Patreon.com/allgas, ddfantasyfootball.com. New website coming very, very soon. And if you're not already a member on here, Ray and I did an awesome Trinity show yesterday. So if you enjoy that, that is just literally the surface of what the Trinity show is going to be going into the off season and going into next season. He and I talked through some really cool ideas of how we're going to use that. But then also Dynasty Deal Show on Friday. If you have trades, sorry, we don't get to trades on here that much, but that's what Dynasty Deal Show is. So you get that for $3.99 a month on YouTube, and you get Shane and I every Friday night at 9:00 on the trade show. So that is it. Parting words from you as you're muted. Shane's first stream.
Absolutely not muted. No, that's just, again, everybody good luck in the playoffs this weekend.
Yep, absolutely. Good luck. We'll see everybody here in a couple weeks, and appreciate everybody tapping in. Have a good night.